Howdy, everybody. This is Ken Allison, along again with Lake Morris, as we're going to talk some high school football around the Anderson, South Carolina area. And we're just glad to have you along. Had a nice group last week who joined us. And I think, Lake, you had something to do with that, maybe, with getting some of your friends and family and people to join us. And that's a great thing. Now, we will already have up this week a college program that's up on Spreaker. Best way to get it, I guess, is through Facebook, Twitter, Google, and even some tracks are on YouTube. Yes. And so, also, I want to help me remind folks again that our email address is mostlysportstalk@gmail.com. Love to hear from you as long as you're not mean to us. Like, hurt my feelings if you're mean to us. Okay, Lake, you had a busy week as usual during high school football because you have to throw in there's girls volleyball and these things too that you have to pick up. But last week was fairly busy, and I think 6 of the 8 teams in Anderson County won. Am I right?
Yes, they did. And the 2 that lost, they lost to Anderson County teams. So
okay,
another busy week, and we got another one getting ready to happen this Friday. But surprisingly, a lot of the games this week were lopsided victories.
Yeah, a little quick recap, if you would, and actually, if you can mention a few names of some of the really good players we have around here, too.
Well, we can start with the game I was at. I was over at Westside for their new reopening of their renovated stadium. New turf, new scoreboard, renovated press box, everything. And they were taking on Belton Honeypath. And they beat them 36-10.
Yeah, 2 things I want to ask you. One about the press box. Is it completely glassed in?
You see, I actually I didn't go into the press box.
Okay.
I'm a sideline guy.
Oh, really? Sideline. Okay.
But I could tell it was glassed in, but I think they could open the windows.
If they could open the windows for the broadcast booth. It's awful, and I've been in several, that you're so glassed in, there's no crowd noise, no nothing, and it's just not good. Yeah. Okay. Now, you may not have picked this up, and it may be rumored. I understand there's maybe a touch of not too happiness between the coaches of the 2 schools involved in this game.
Yeah, if y'all can tell, I'm smiling right now because with about 4 minutes to go in the game, Westside had scored a touchdown.
Right.
I believe Jackson Williamson found Jyston Kendrick on a crossing pattern. He took it in from about 12 yards out. Westside attempts an onside kick.
Yeah, have you talked to Early about that? Scott Early?
They said they were just working on some things, but Coach Blackston over at BHP, they didn't really appreciate that too much.
There'd already been a little incident at the touchdown club.
Yeah, there had been some barbs thrown. Mm-hmm.
I understand they've canceled the game for next year too.
Oh, they have?
Now this is a rumor that I heard yesterday that BHP had cancel the game with Westside that would be over there next year. That's what I heard.
That might explain why Westside is in talks with Hart County right now for a game next year. So,
okay,
that might be why that's happening. So I'm not surprised that's happened. Watching the game, it felt like it probably needed a break in their rivalry.
And BHP had beaten a 4A school in the same conference or region the week before in Lawrence, and I think maybe they thought they had a shot at Westside too.
I firmly believe BHP did, but 4 interceptions and 2 getting returned for touchdowns really, really hurt them, especially that second one.
Yeah.
It was one of those games where Westside was really, their defensive line really controlled the line of scrimmage. And I was kind of surprised to see that.
Well, that's 3 games in a row now, though.
Yeah,
that defensive line has stood up.
I think they are really coming up as a surprise unit right now in this area because they were not expected coming into this year with some of the losses they had to be as disruptive as they are. If they can keep it going throughout the season, they got a good, strong back 7.
Right.
Made evidence by the past 2 games. If they can get their front 4 staying pretty consistent, that's going to be a pretty tough defense to score against because right now they're giving up 6 points a game roughly. They've given up 20 points in 3 games.
Yeah. Well, you I don't know if you have there some records, a little something about some of the defensive players, and it's fairly easy to find out about the offensive players. I'd like to do a little bit of both.
Well, like I said before, one player that really stood out from the West Side game was O'Shea Brown. He's a corner for them. I believe he had 8 tackles and 2 interceptions with 1 for a touchdown.
What's his name again?
O'Shea Brown.
O'Shea Brown, and if they go, what's his number? You remember off the top of your head?
I believe he's number 30.
Okay, if anybody goes. Number 30 for the Rams, okay?
The other 2 interceptions were by Lummy Young, who wears number 7, and Quinn Baldwin, who wears 18.
Okay, good. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, they ran it well, and Jackson Williamson had another fine game.
Yes, he did. The offense was really they were playing well in the first half, but it still didn't quite feel like they were clicking. But in the second half, they started getting Justin Kendrick involved in the offense more. He had no touches at all in the first half. Second half, he had 9 catches and 4 carries.
For heaven's sake.
And he had over 100 yards of total offense and a touchdown. So his emergence in that second half really opened up their offense a little bit more. They started going more with a dump screen game, a lot more sweeps, and really started using more of their, sideline to sideline speed.
Sideways passes? Is that?
Yes.
That's what Cobb calls Clemson's offense, yes. Sideways passes.
Oh, yeah. It's it's not hard passes to throw for your quarterback.
Yeah.
They're safe throws. But when you have guys that can break that first tackle, you can get some pretty big returns on it. But
okay.
Another good day for Westside, and also Quinn Wright, the running back. He had another good game, over 80 yards rushing again. So
okay.
He is slowly becoming one of the steadier backs in the area.
What year is he?
He is a senior.
He's a senior. Okay, and one other thing. They're going to play Daniel. Now, I've been around doing this a long, long time. I might have remembered Daniel being 0-2. Mm-hmm. 0-3 is almost unheard of. But that's going to happen this week, and I don't know.
Well, I can tell you the last time Daniel was 0-3, started a season 0-3 was 2006.
Okay.
That third loss was to Westside. That was also the last side Westside started 3-0. And then in 2007, they started 3-0 again. But they lost to Daniel. So this has a lot of historical perspective behind it. But I talked to a beat writer up in Oconee County who covers Daniel exclusively. And the vibes coming out for Daniel right now are not good for this game. They are not expecting to win this one. But you never know. I mean, they still have to show up. But it is just not a good year, right? It's not a good start for the Daniel Lions.
No, it's not. Now switch quickly over across town where Hannah winning the game with Wren, that was, okay. But 40 points? Yeah. Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, 61-28 ball game. I don't think Coach Allis expected that to happen this early, especially with a team like Wren, but Alex Meredith had a heck of a game. Threw for 382 yards and 5 touchdowns.
And he is a freshman.
And they also had 2 100-yard rushers, 2 100-yard receivers, and their defense played lights out.
I don't know if they've ever had 2 100-yard rushers and receivers same game. I can't remember.
I can't remember that in recent memory either. Maybe back when Scott Parker was there and they had Raphael Little and maybe someone else got some reserve time.
Yeah, maybe.
But that hasn't happened often. That hasn't happened in the recent history of Hannah, I can tell you that much.
Right.
But that was a very good win for them.
Against what is supposed to be a pretty good Wren team.
Yeah, and I think, Wren still scored 28 points. So they're still, I think, trying to find their identity over in Piedmont because they're still, Kelly Bryant's not there. Yeah. And it's going to take them time, I think, to figure out who they are. And it seemed like they were happier with how they played on offense from their first game against Woodmont, but their defense just wasn't there. And also they had multiple lightning delays. And that's just hard to manage mentally if you're a coach, to keep your players in the game.
I was just telling when I found out they'd had a 90-minute when the game was over, around midnight or so?
It was over at exactly 12:05. I was in the newsroom.
Yeah.
And we were trying to push our deadline back as much as we could to get the game story in.
Yeah.
And we just didn't.
Couldn't do it. Yeah, I was telling my wife, now, of course, I haven't always been this old, but if I had been broadcasting the games like I did for over 40 years, man, I don't know how I would have lived through that long delay and gone back and done the game, I think I have broadcast about 275 boys high Hannah games, and I just know if I could get gotten through at this age anyway.
I do know my freelancer, he was struggling for that one because that's a test for a professional, and giving that to a freelancer, but he did a good job with it, and we got the story on our online edition for people that wanted to read it. But again, anyone listening, I apologize we didn't get the Hannah game in the paper, but hopefully we won't have a rain delay this week when they head up to Tom Bass Field to play the Bobcats.
Yeah, that should be a fine game.
It is, and Seneca is coming off a 38-0 win over Easley. So, and Easley was 2-0 heading into that game. So,
and they had previously clobbered Greenville.
Yeah, Seneca's looking very good this year. Like I said in our big preview section before the season, I thought Seneca or BHP would win that region. It's looking like Seneca right now is playing a little bit better brand of ball right now, but that Seneca BHP game in October is going to be a good one, I think, and that's basically, that to me is the de facto Western 3A title game.
Okay.
But yeah, good night for the 4A schools here in Anderson, though, for that one.
Yeah.
Getting two big rivalry wins over area opponents.
Great, yes. Okay, we can move on now to some other of our schools.
Yeah, we also had Palmetto, who stayed undefeated on the season with a 42-13 win over Dixie. I believe that was their 8th in a row over the Hornets. Over a Class A team, so it was a game Palmetto should have won. Again, they should have dominated, and they did. They were up, I believe, 35-0 at the half, and the rest of the game was just backup. So
yeah, they kind of coasted.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do in that one. That's all you can, that's all you can say about it. They did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah,
and their opponent for this week is Crescent, who comes in at 3-0.
Been a long time since that's happened too.
Yes, it is. They are coming off a 40-18 win over Calhoun Falls Charter, another Class A school. So
yeah,
another game where Crescent was probably favored and should have won it big, and they did. So Battle of Unbeaten's this Friday in Williamston, and that's the game I will be at. So,
okay,
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good game. Neither team has really faced an opponent that has really tested them. Palmetto played Powdersville, and that one was decided late. And then Crescent played Liberty to start the season in a 6-3 ball game. But other than that, the other games they've had, they've coasted through. So it's going to be a big game for Crescent because they are playing up now, a classification.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
And this is another game where Palmetto, if you look at the classification-wise, they should probably win this game. But I think Crescent might be a little more dangerous this year than people are thinking heading into the season.
Okay, all right.
Another big win last Friday was Pendleton, who avenged a 1-point overtime loss from last year to West Oak by beating them 41-0. So, rough start for Josh Pierce and his Warriors. They lose the Apple Bowl first game of the season, then they get beat by Pendleton. But this Pendleton team is looking very good.
They're physical. They're a physical, tough team.
They are, and they're one of the favorites this year heading in to win Skyline 2A. It's either between them, Woodruff, and Blacksburg right now. And with their brand of ball, they have a chance. But that was another good game for running back Naquan Rams, who had another 100-yard game coming off of an injury from last year. It looks like Pendleton is still working through some things, but I think they're going to peak at the right time, and they should be a solid bunch throughout the rest of this year if they can